I got my birding hat on. I got my binoculars ready. I think we're getting close to some birds here. Clearing is just off to my left here. I'm starting to hear birds. See something on the ground over here. Oh, check that out. We're close though, and I see a clearing ahead. Oh yeah, this is that area I saw earlier. I see some hoof prints. Looks like deer been bedding down here. They've torn up the soil. Oh, look at this, some droppings. Yeah, those are only a few hours old. We're on to something. Let's keep moving ahead. Let's start that over, shall we? Fresh droppings here. And, oh yeah, some droppings even. Some droppings. Okay, that's got to be the last take. I can't eat any more deer poop. I can see it now. We are so close. Just through here. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, it's my backyard. Alright, I'm going to narrate from inside for the rest of this because it's just too hot out there, but I wanted to show you what happens if we just sit still for a while, how quickly the birds return. So let's do a quick tour of the backyard here. We obviously live in kind of some forest areas, so it's not like a city backyard, but honestly, you put out some good feeders, good quality food, and be consistent with it, and anyone can get a good variety of birds visiting their backyard. So directly in front here we have some basically branches that I installed in an old display, and partially drilled some holes in here, and we put bark butter in there. In this case, this is hot pepper bark butter, but normally I prefer just regular bark butter. The squirrels will eat that though, so from time to time we try the hot pepper just to keep them from eating it all. I like doing photography, and it looks more natural if you can get the birds to land on a branch like this. And if you position the holes away from where you're shooting, you don't actually see the bark butter. It just looks like a bird pecking on a branch. Now we also have a little fountain here. It's a bubbler fountain. Birds like to land on this ball, and they'll drink directly out of it. They'll land on the top and actually bathe out of the little bubbler out the top. So this is the main feeding area in the backyard. You can see we got a cable. Most of our feeders are hanging from that most of the time due to bear problems, but I bring them down for photography. You can see we haven't dressed up the backyard at all for this video. Our grass is nice and dead, and we have very authentic fresh bird poop all over the weather guards. So we're keeping it real here. This first feeder here is our high perch hummingbird feeder. With a weather guard on it, and the hummingbirds, actually, you'll notice the one was sitting there. They don't hover, they tend to actually land on this. Super easy to clean, and doesn't leak. But before we get going on the rest of these feeders here, I want to actually show you where I sit and observe the birds from. So you can see it's not that far away, pretty close, within 20 feet. And I got all my photography stuff out here, a laptop for work, and just hang out, relax in the shade with the umbrella. The most important part of this setup is the table with the peanuts for the squirrels. You got to keep the squirrels happy. So let's go through the feeders briefly here. And we're going to actually do reviews on each one of these coming up here in future videos. In the meantime, if you could please like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. This feeder here on the right is the cylinder feeder. So cylinders come in either seed or suet form. It's a fun way to feed the birds, slows them down a little bit. They have to work to actually pick the food off of there. It's not like loose seed where they can just grab as much as they want. So that's a great one. Then here on the right we have our bark butter feeder. Same bark butter I smeared on the branches over there with the partially drilled holes. This is similar, it's partially drilled holes. You just smear the bark butter on there, and great for woodpeckers, chickadees, nuthatches, all kinds of birds like the bark butter there. And next up we have the peanut feeder. This is for peanuts out of the shell. Chickadees, nuthatches, all kinds of birds love peanuts, and they'll just peck away at that and either grab big pieces they can get through the hole, or they'll just grab little pieces off of each peanut and get that. Behind that we have the tube feeder. We'll cover that next in our next video. Will be a review of this tube feeder here. Great way to feed the birds, holds a lot of food. You get a good quality one like this with metal ports and metal top and easy clean bottom. I think it's the best way to feed the birds, especially if you're getting started, but we've been feeding forever and this is still our go-to feeder. You see the seed we have in this feeder is all out of the shell. We call that a no-mess blend. Mostly sunflower, a little bit of millet in this one, and some diced up peanuts. Great way to feed the birds. Finches love this. You don't even need a special feeder for finches. You can do one just to help them get their share of food, but this feeds all the birds and does a great job. Love this food. So the final feeder we're going to cover today is our suet feeder. You can see there's squirrel damage at the bottom. We have tens of viewers that watch these videos, and that's why we can't even be bothered to swap this out with a brand new feeder. But this feeder is a great one. So they call it a double tail prop because the tail prop part, the woodpeckers prop their tail up against that paddle on the bottom, gives them leverage, makes them feel comfortable. And it's a double tail prop because it'll hold 2 suet cakes, so you don't have to fill it near as often. But this is a great way, especially if you're getting pileated woodpeckers, large woodpeckers. They love this, but all the woodpeckers like that feeder. That is a great suet feeder. And then finally, you're going to want to have some water in your backyard. We covered this in the last video, but to get the widest variety of birds in your yard, you're going to want to offer some water. Even birds that won't come to a feeder will come to water. So we have 3 different ones. Some birds prefer different heights, and it's also just best to have extra water, so in case one of them runs dry, like the one in the middle. We're pretty high quality operation here, and we just can't be bothered to keep the bird baths filled, but I'll fill it right after this video, don't you worry. The main point we're trying to make with this video is that you don't need anything special in your backyard. Just put out some good quality feeders, add some good quality food, and some water as well, and birds will come to you and you can enjoy them without having to go anywhere. Alright, so you've suffered through the entire video. Is it too much to ask to have you just like and subscribe? It would greatly help us bring you subpar content well into the future.